Yeah, so our next session is going to be a sales renewal. And we talk about the workflows that are in InsuredMine. And Roush made a point to not just get input, but really have the workflows be designed by agents for agents. So, and speaking of designed by agents for agents, we have two agencies that are going to speak to you on those workflows. We have Mike Crandall from Stratford Insurance Group and Susan Morgan from Shepherd Insurance. And as much as I like to do the intros, I feel it better, and it makes you you know yourself better than any of us can. So I'd rather you guys give us a little background on yourself, the agency, and what got you into this space, insurance. So Mike and Susan, are you guys ready?
Ready to go.
All right.
We're ready.
Well, first, give us a little bit of background on both of you.
Yeah, no, for sure. I appreciate the opportunity. So Mike Crandall's my name. We have an agency here out of Utah, just about 30 minutes north of Salt Lake City. It's where we're out of. We have about, where are we at to now? 16 employees within our agency. We have 7 sales reps, and then me and my business partner, who are still actively produced. So there are about 9 producers within our agency. We have been around for 30 plus years. Me and my business partner purchased the agency from his dad, who founded it about 30 years ago, 4.5 years ago, and have since just seen some substantial growth. We took it, it was a healthy agency when we took it over, but we've implemented a lot of technology and a young workforce to really help booster that growth.
Susan, go right ahead, actually.
Hi, I'm Susan Morgan with Shepherd Insurance. We are located in Carmel, Indiana, is our main headquarters, but we have 35 offices in 6 different states. So our agency was started over 40 years ago by Dave Shepherd, and he's grown it to today what it is, over 450 employees, again, across 35 different locations. So we are pretty heavy in mergers and acquisition. So I love what Mike said about how, they kind of took their agency and they have a younger workforce and how they've used technology and automation. Well, with mergers and acquisitions, we acquire some long-standing existing agencies, and we've found that by introducing technology and using this and automation, we're able to standardize some of our processes. It makes it a lot easier when we're working with people across different locations with insurance history across the board from, many generations, many decades to being brand new in the industry.
Thanks, Susan. So we are going to start with Michael. Michael is going to show us his process, how Stratford created. So let me go into this slide. Please let me know when I can change the slide.
Perfect. Sounds good. So we've created a few systems within our agency, and the first, to really get a good understanding of where we're coming from. I come from a military family, and there's a story during World War II that I share with my guys about the importance of tracking information. Returning or reporting is what we refer to it as, and an even shorter motto, we call it mapping. And to give you guys that story as to why we're so passionate about it, I'll give you that story of World War II. There was this mission, the old 666 bomber, a B-17 bomber, that was sent on a mission to map certain areas of the Solomon Islands in kind of northeast from Australia. And sorry, it sounds like I got a lot of background noise. I apologize for that, guys. When they went on this mission, they had to go out and map this area for the infantry, for the U.S. military. And it was so important that they went there and they returned. On their way there, they got intercepted
Michael, we cannot hear you.
Let me try to call in, see if that works
Oh,
better.
you're
I
good.
apologize.
Yep, you're good.
Is that better?
Yes, yes. So we just had to
Yes.
mute everybody, and so it muted you as well. So now you're fine. You just had
Okay.
to unmute. Yeah.
Perfect. So going back to this story about this bomber that went in, they got intercepted by a lot of Japanese fighters, and these fighters came in and attacking this bomber that was taking some images of these islands to be able to better protect the infantry when they went in. They realized the importance of this mission of not only going there and mapping, but returning and reporting. And that's what we do here at Stratford Insurance Group. When we go out, we want to make sure we return and report. So what we've created here, if you can see my mouse cursor, these are some screen images of what we have. We really focus in on activity first and foremost. When I'm interacting and I'm talking to my sales reps, I want to verify first and foremost how many times they're contacting individuals within a week. And we're able to customize through InsuredMine. And InsuredMine's been phenomenal, guys. If you don't know who your rep is, I strongly advise you to get in contact with them. Paola is our rep who helps us out probably on a weekly basis on developing our platform here. And what you see here, this is our activity dashboard. Our activity dashboard tells us every activity that our sales reps are doing on a weekly basis. As you can see over there on the right-hand side, it shows the week of September 18th through the week of the September 24th. With that, I'm able to verify how many notes have been taken. That's 353. I can click on that link, and by clicking onto that link, it'll show me each and every note that has been taken, so that I can better coach and return back to my team to help them understand the importance of the follow-up, the importance of verifying what questions are being asked, and it allows me to have more streamlined training opportunities back to my team. On the over there to the right, you'll see tasks. There's 248 tasks that have been assigned. I can now verify what type of tasks are happening. What are my sales reps assigning to themselves to ensure that these prospects are moving along? So this is the first thing I go to when I'm managing my team. I verify their activity. I verify two things with my team. I verify if it's a will issue or a skill issue. And if they're not putting notes and setting tasks, then I know I have a will issue. So then I cater my coaching to that. But if they have notes and they have tasks, but yet they're not closing business, then I cater that to a skill issue, and I train appropriately for that. So this is what I've created, what we've created, everybody can create with InsuredMine, is this activity dashboard. So it allows me to really hone in on each and every employee that we have. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide now. So on this next slide, now if you scroll down, InsuredMine allows you to create pipelines. This is our active quote pipeline. As you can see here, I can go in and see every active quote that my team is working on. In the month of September, what we had left, because we were in the last week, we had about $63,000 in premium left out there on quotes that were still yet to be presented. But look at October, November, and December. October, we have over $1.5 million in premium that's currently quoted. November, another $1 million in premium. In December, $473,000 in premium that's currently being worked on. This allows me to hone in and see exactly what the numbers are. I'm a big numbers guy, so I want to see exactly where the numbers are. I want to know how many opportunities there are, because we've been able to narrow down our close ratio to know what the expectation is and how many deals we're closing. If you notice on top of the months where it says September 2022, and it shows another box there, it's kind of hard to read, but it says 24, October 2022. And then there's a little box to the right of it, shows 42, so on and so forth on each month. That's how many prospects, how many businesses we're currently working on quotes for. this allows me now to get a really good, healthy image of where our agency's at, how our agency's doing, and the direction our agency's headed, to allow me now, because I do trainings every morning, Monday through Friday with my sales team, to allow me to cater those trainings so it doesn't get monotonous in our delivery. It allows us now to really cater in and hone in exactly on what we need to be talking about, and it's these accounts here. So this is an overview. If you see here, kind of up towards the top middle there, it says shared by agents and all private. This shows me everybody in my agency, and I like to see that because I like to know exactly where we are as an agency performing and what the expectation is. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide now, and I'll show you guys how I kind of hone in even in more detail with my team. Now, if you look here, you go to the middle, it shows by agents. Now it's not on all private, it goes by agent. And I have one of my sales reps, Colby Hepler. Colby Hepler, I know exactly how many accounts he is working on. So that way now I can go sit down with Colby and I can ask him, hey, what's going on for your month of October and your month of November? And I will get zero fluff because I have all the information in here. I'm simply just verifying that he knows exactly what he is going after. I verify the notes that are found within these cards to make sure that we're on a clear basis and understanding of what our plan of attack is to close this business. With younger guys, you do have to hold their hand a little bit, and that's okay. If we can hold their hand and get them to a point to where they can fly on their own, that's exactly what we want to do, and that's what this system affords us to do. So this is Colby Hepler's. Then I can toggle in, I can click on his name and toggle down to all of my sales reps and figure out exactly how many opportunities each and every one of them have. So we can go ahead and go to the next page. So when I'm looking at active quotes, now if you look over here where it says pipeline towards the top left, it shows to the right of it X dates. Okay. X dates, as you guys are all aware, this is when the insurance comes up for all of our prospects. This is also a very important pipeline that we track, because if somebody doesn't have a lot of active quotes, people that they've already talked to that have said, yes, I would like to receive a quote from you. If they don't have a lot of people like that, we go to their X dates. Well, how many X dates do you have? And we know as a company, we have hundreds of X dates in every single month. And we want to verify, why haven't these turned into opportunities to quote? So I can see real quick, going back to that example of Colby Hepler, if he doesn't have a lot of opportunities for November, and I go into his X dates and I see that he has 58 X dates in there that aren't in active quotes, I'm going to ask him about those. What's the status? Where are we sitting? What do we need to do to get these X dates moved over to active quotes? How can I help you? So on and so forth. But this gives me a broad overview of our company of how many X dates we currently have and when they come out to the date. So we can go ahead and jump to the next slide now. And after that, now, once again, this is just a honed in, more powerful one-on-one meetings now are being conducted, because I know exactly how many X dates each sales rep has. This is Charlie Huff. And I know exactly how many X dates. So now when I look at his, if I were to go to his active quote pipeline, for example, in November, or let's use December, he has 96 X dates and he only has 2 in his active quotes for December. I'm going to ask him and see what's he doing. The numbers are not reflecting work. So once again, it eliminates all the fluff. Hey, I've been calling, I haven't been getting through to anybody. Well, A, your notes are down, right? Remember that first slide from the very beginning, your notes are down. You don't have any active quotes. Are you really calling? If you're really calling, you should have the notes to reflect that. So once again, more powerful one-on-ones with your sales reps to produce and generate more business. So we can go ahead and jump to the next slide. So daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly revenue tracking. So this is how we verify our revenue. This is how we let our sales reps know and see exactly where they're at. We go by revenue. We don't go by premium in our agency. So this is revenue closed in a single month. Now, as you can see here, Ben Brinkerhoff, McKay Davis both had really, really good months. And then I have Colby Hepler and I have Joel Dopp who are all below $1,000. I need to have a conversation with them. And then I reflect back to those previous slides, guys, and I see what their X dates are at. I see where their active quotes are at. Once I verify that, then I can hone in and understand exactly why they're not closing any business. By doing that, once again, more powerful one-on-ones. It allows us to see the data live to the second. That's what it's been amazing with InsuredMine. To the second, we have live data to know exactly where these guys are sitting. So we track them on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. We can go ahead and jump to the next one. Carrier revenue tracking. Now I'm going to spin this a little bit. InsuredMine has helped us be so much more powerful with our own carriers, guys. We look at this. I have down to the carrier, Travelers, Berkshire Hathaway, a Utah business insurance company, EMC Insurance, WCF Insurance. These are some Utah companies, guys. I can go down to them and I can show them exactly which carriers are closing business. Has anybody had a carrier come into their office say, hey, we haven't closed business with you for a while. What's going on? And it's like, well, I'm closing business elsewhere. How awesome is it? It's been amazing for us to be able to pull up all the accounts on our computer and on our TV and show the carriers and say, listen, we are closing this with this carrier. And these are all of the accounts that we currently have. What we need is we need you guys to become more competitive, sharpen your tools. If you guys can do that, we have plenty of business here. As you saw, if you guys remember, in our active quotes, we have $1.5 million in premium for the month of November. Do you want some of that? All these other carriers are taking a stab at it. And we can show them all this live data through the carriers now, and they absolutely love seeing it. So that's why we utilize deals by carriers. And that also helps our team out to know which carriers have closed which pieces of business. So now we can go back to them on an account that closed back in February and say, hey, Travelers, you closed this account. You closed this cabinet shop for us back in February. Could you help us close another one here that's coming up in November? And it allows us now to really dive in deeper and get a lot more granular with our carriers. You can go ahead and do the next slide. This one is a very important one. I'm currently working with InsuredMine on this one to try and hone in. I want to see a little bit different report, and that's what I love about InsuredMine. They're open to suggestions, guys. They're amazing. I like this one because I check this out on a weekly basis. This will tell me how many new accounts on a weekly basis my team has added on, because here's what I want to steer away from. I don't want my team getting 50 X dates and then just following up on those X dates. I need them getting new opportunities. This screen here, the deals move 2 stages, shows me on that gathering info, because my team knows when you're gathering info on an opportunity that said, yes, you can quote, this is where you put it. So I can click on the hyperlink on the gather info. If we can get that where it shows $0, 17,127, we can circle that right there. I can click on that and it'll show me every single account that these guys are currently working on and new accounts that they just added into the pipeline that week. So now there's no additional, no fluff, more powerful one-on-ones. I know exactly what account they've added on for the week and when they added it on. So I can go back to them on a Tuesday and say, why was Tuesday really soft? What did you do on Tuesday? Help me understand where you moved accounts along, because I'm looking at, you're now going down to a daily basis. I'm not seeing any activity. What did we pay you to do on Tuesday? So I love this. I love the deals moved through stages. I do. There's a few things we're working on and tweaking to make it a little bit cleaner, but we're working on that. But this screen is phenomenal for your guys' follow-up. We can go ahead and jump to the next screen. Agent overview, guys. Close percentage, close ratio. Who's closing at a high ratio? Who's not? Why? Okay, McKay Davis, you closed at 60%. Sam Stratford, you closed at 50%. Tell me what happened. We have such an in-depth sales process within our agency at Stratford Insurance Group that we expect to close 70%, guys, because we have a process that we follow to the T. And if we follow it, we're going to close it over 70%. So if we have two people that are below that 70%, we can hone in real quick and understand why. Why were you not closing at 70%? And without a doubt, it's because they didn't follow the process. So I love having the close ratio and being able to track it live on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis as well. We can go ahead and jump to that next slide now. And that sums up our process of how we use InsuredMine right now. It's constantly evolving. Once again, one of the greatest features, in my opinion, in InsuredMine, they're willing to work and adapt and create more pipelines, more in-depth pipelines. My business partner, Colby, he has worked a lot with a lot of these pipelines because I see a few of those questions coming in. And we can get you, please feel free to send me any questions that you may have, and I'd be more than happy to help instruct, walk you guys along the lines of how these were created and what you need to do in order to get your guys's process and procedures put into place and utilizing InsuredMine in a sales manner for new business. I'll go ahead and drop my email actually in the chat so you guys have it. But that's how we're using it at Stratford Insurance Group, and that's how within our agency, I'd say a relatively small agency, that's how we're writing over $1 million a year in new revenue. And really it hasn't taken a ton of effort on our sales rep side. We've been able to utilize the technology in the proper manner that has allowed us to hit those numbers. So let me know if there's any questions, and I'd be more than happy to answer them. Oops, sorry, I sent that to a direct. Let me send this to everybody, my email. So thanks, guys. Thanks for the time.
All right. Hey, Mike, I could not be more impressed with what I just saw. Man, this is using data analytics on steroids. And so I'm gonna just put out 3 questions, 2 truth and 1 lie, and I will let you guys answer that. Mike did an awesome job with the data, what he presented, 1. Number 2, all this data is dubbing data. Number 3, I coded all of those. Which one, which one is 1 truth and 2 lies? Well, the answer is obvious. The only truth here is Mike did an awesome job with this. This is not dummy data. This is what these guys are creating every day, guys. So now this sets up the bar. And that's the whole idea of this IMUG, is to show you guys where the potentials are. We work with each of these agencies on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to find who are pushing those boundaries and leveraging the platform to get those outcomes that almost every agency should be getting. So by reflecting on our bringing to the spotlight, and Mike being gracious enough to come and show what he's using and how he's using, gives you guys an opportunity to look at how you can step up your game. We are here to help. Mike is here to help, and we all can together lift up that ability to leverage more on that. So thank you, Mike. Thanks for showing all of that. One thing I would add to that element is, I think one thing which is understated in this whole thing, Mike, is the discipline, the ability to get your agency people to be disciplined enough to add that data to the system. And I want you to take a minute and talk about how are you making sure that data hygiene or that commitment and that discipline to use the system on a everyday basis, you are maintaining that. What is that is allowing it? Go ahead, Mike, you are on mute.
Say that one more time. Kind of cut in and out.
Sure. So, the biggest challenge for most of the agencies are, being disciplined enough to key in the data and then be able to see the quality showing through these reports. How do you incentivize your people to be disciplined to be able to put in this data?
No, and that's a great question, because that was our biggest issue when me and my business partner were talking. We've kind of siloed out what we do. So Colby, he handles technology, he handles our CSRs and the financing side of things, and I handle the sales side. So really, I'm not going to say that it's not difficult, but it's also not easy. There's just a lot of follow-up that has to happen. So when Colby and I, when we interview employees to come work at Stratford Insurance Group, we set firm expectations of this is what is expected of you. This is a job requirement. So and if it is something, because we had some employees that were already hired on before we started using InsuredMine. Really, it's gathering the troops. We get together.
What do you do with them?
What we've done with them is we've sat them down and we've told them that this is the system. If you want to continue with your employment with Stratford Insurance Group, this is what is expected of you. And
that's a high five to you.
Well, we appreciate it. But that's really what it comes down to. Everybody wants to have there's no secret recipe to sales. If somebody has their secret recipe, sometimes for me, I tend to question their integrity. Because if there's a secret to sales, then you're probably not telling the full story, right? It comes down to hard work. It comes down to diligence. It comes down to consistency. Can you stay consistent? Can you stay on top of your team to make sure that they're doing and entering in the data? And do you have to have somebody that can verify that? So Colby and I, we do trainings Monday through Friday. We sit down with our team for an hour Monday through Friday from 7 in the morning till 8 o'clock before the day starts. So if you're willing to do that, there's no reason why you can't get your team to enter in the data and enter it in appropriately, because guess what? We pull up that data, and if you're fluffing the numbers, you're going to be caught real quick. And it's going to be quite embarrassing because you're sitting in front of all your peers and all your coworkers, and here you are fluffing numbers and you can't answer to them. So people tend to start putting in realistic numbers as that comes to fruition.
Awesome. All right, that's wonderful. With that note, we will transition to our next speaker. We got Susan. I love her for her vision and what she has done with Shepherd Insurance and implementing InsuredMine to a much larger organization. So it brings that balance. But before we jump in, here is a quick 30 seconds poll that we're going to launch. So guys, you got just 30 seconds. While you finish the poll, I would love to just enhance on this conversation. When Susan and I met and we started talking about, and it was just an amazing experience to listen to her vision of how she started this, thinking around, hey, we need to build process. We need to start thinking about bringing a CRM and automate a lot of those. It's not easy to implement this in a complex environment with multiple locations, with so many people who have done the way they have done it, and bring this kind of a change. It takes an incredible leader like Susan to be able to bring a solution like InsuredMine to the forefront and be able to take it to this point. So I don't want to take a lot of my time into this, so I will just let Susan talk about what she has done that has got us to where we are today with InsuredMine and Shepherd Insurance. Back to you, Susan.
Thank you so much, Roshan. One of the things that started us on our journey to find a CRM was certainly around the renewal process. Our E&O advisor had charged us with a feat of contacting every customer at renewal. And you start to scratch your head and you say, well, how in the world are we going to be able to do that and sell and service and, still go on vacation, still be able to manage our business and do everything. So we started looking at CRMs, and one thing that stood out to us with InsuredMine, not only having a sales pipeline, but also bringing us forward with technology as far as some of the reporting and texting. Texting was a big thing for us. And then a lot of our email communication, being able to combine our, do away with some of our other vendors completely and just bring everything in under InsuredMine. And so that was a big bonus for us. And when we started this journey, my main focus, I oversee the personal lines division at Shepherd, and that in the back of my mind, knowing that, you know, how are we going to be able to reach out to every client at renewal, and automation is the key, right? Like we've heard it today throughout the other speakers. You automate those processes. Billy said it very well. You know, the $10 processes, you want to make sure you're automating so that you can focus on the $1,000 processes. So we really enjoy working with InsuredMine, because they've kind of come along this journey with us and helped us to put this into action and create this. So if you want to go to the next slide. And okay, there we go. So our first goal, like I said, we wanted to be able to contact every client at renewal and standardize that renewal experience. So when we started talking to everyone about, you know, what's your renewal process, we got so many different answers. So we had to really like hone in on best practice and what we wanted our renewal process to look like and what we wanted to build out in InsuredMine. It wasn't just plug and play. We had to really, you know, define what our process is and get into it. The second goal was to improve our retention, and this was huge, right? If we all know, if you can bump up your retention numbers by a couple of points, that generates a lot of revenue at the end of the day. So we wanted to kind of switch our renewal process from being a reactive model to being proactive. And what I mean by that, you know, we are reaching out, you know, 45 days before that renewal, and we're starting that conversation. So we've all probably been in a position where, you know, the client's calling you and they want to know why their rate went up, and you know, the first thing that a lot of people offer is, well, let me remarket it, let me get some other quotes, and that's not always best use of your time. So, or if they don't call you, they're calling someone else. So we're proactively reaching out well in advance of that renewal coming in. And then the third goal, we want to automate the workflow so account managers and agents are spending less time managing the renewal process and spending more time on those activities that are really going to drive the needle, cross-selling and making those contacts to make sure that the relationship is there and growing the retention. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is kind of the beginning stage of what we did of laying out what our renewal process is. So like I mentioned, 45 days before the actual renewal, we are reaching out with an automated email. So it's the same email that you know, every location, every account manager is going to use the same format, same language that we've developed. We want to also include a questionnaire. We want to know if there have been any changes that maybe weren't reported to us. We know that especially during COVID, people had mileage changes. They did home improvements. They got new pets. Kids went away to college. So a lot of things go on, and we don't always know about it. And if we give them the opportunity to report that back to us, well in advance of the renewal, we can get those changes put in prior to the renewal coming out. And then 30 days before the renewal, that's usually when the download hits. So that's where most of the activity is going to come in, that 30-day mark. So the download comes in. Hopefully we've got a renewal questionnaire back. We've identified if there's any cross-sell opportunities, and in a worst case scenario, we're gonna have to remarket. And I get into that a little bit deeper in one of the other slides. But then you have 10 days before the renewal. It's kind of a last call, right? Maybe they haven't returned the survey. Maybe you know, you've done a remarket, or you've sent them other quotes and you haven't heard back. So it's just kind of that last, opportunity to reach them. And again, through automation, we're not typing the email and sending it, it's automated. And then also, having that schedule link, can we schedule a time to talk? And that gives your account manager time to prepare for the call. So they know what they're going to talk about, right? It's not just answering the phone and then they're trying to, review everything while the customer's on the phone. They know that they've got a call scheduled, so to do a renewal review, and they know what they're going to go over and be prepared for that time. And then 15 days after the renewal, after the policy renews, they're going to get an automatic thank you for your business. Now, if we don't renew the policy 15 days after the cancellation, we're going to tell them we're sorry to lose their business. Sometimes maybe it's a non-pay situation or, some other oversight, and that'll prompt them to notify us. But in worst case, and if it's 30 days and the policy's been out of force, it's going to move to a win-back pipeline, and then it's going to start a drip to hopefully win that business back in the future, if we put it in that win-back campaign. Okay, next slide, please. So this just goes into a little bit of additional information about the pipeline and what the steps are for the account manager. So in the first stages, you're going to review the deal card. We found that, we've improved our contact information in our agency management system through using a CRM, because we're focused on making sure we have a correct email address and cell phone number for the client, and that's identified. And if we don't have it, sometimes they have it, they just don't have it in the agency management system. So that gives them an opportunity to get it updated. And also you have the opportunity to stop automation on clients that you don't want to. Yeah, I see the question in the chat. So the process details, I'm going to get into it a little more detailed. It really is defining your process and building the pipeline around that. But again, you can stop the automation. We try to drive the automation or the contact around the home renewing. So if it's, a boat or an umbrella or, an auto policy that's renewing by itself, we stop that automation and contact on the home renewal. And then sending the renewal questionnaires, gathering the information, and making sure that it's responded to. The next step, review the download for premium changes, and we have a checklist, and I'll show that in another slide, on how we handle that renewal process after the download comes in. And then identifying accounts that are won and lost, right? We want to know how this is impacting our retention, and we can do that by agent, by account manager, by that specific book of business. Okay, next slide. So this gets a little deeper into the process. In the pipeline, you have the ability to add labels. Labels are how you identify certain activities in the pipeline. Tags are applied at the customer level. We use labels in the pipeline level. So we've got a couple of automations set up. If an account manager applies a label to a deal card in their renewal pipeline, if it's a cross-sell, we've got two set up here. One, cross-sell auto no home, cross-sell home no auto, and then we also have one for umbrella. So we have three. So if they identify during the review process that it's a monoline auto, then they're going to apply the label for auto no home, and a standard email that's already been pre-written is going to go out. It's going to come from that account manager and give them the opportunity to cross-sell the other line of business. If a premium increased over threshold, so we see that the download comes in, we look at the checklist, and we see that it's gone up more than 10 or 15%, depending on the location. We can apply this label, and that's going to kick out an email that's saying, hey, your renewal came in and we're currently reviewing it. We're going to give them an opportunity to maybe tell us about any mileage changes or alarm certificates, good student discounts, any additional discounts that could be applicable. But really, it's a proactive way to reach out to them and say, hey, we are looking at your renewal. And then there's also a scheduler link in that email so they can schedule a time to talk. So again, it's preparing that account manager to know this is an account I need to review because it's gone up more than the threshold. And they're reaching out first to the customer instead of waiting for that phone to ring and then, being kind of behind the 8 ball to figure out why the rate went up. And then we like to automatically remind our customers that they do have a mobile app option. So we have a label set up that will send a reminder that their carrier has a mobile app. And the one we have set up is for Safeco. That's the one we're testing right now. And it has a link and a QR code right to the mobile app. So the client can go in and set that up. And usually we do that towards the end of the process. We'll apply that label because it's also, a thank you for your business. And we just want to remind you of an additional way that you can access your information. But not all of these labels have automation set up. A lot of them are to help the account manager in the process as the deal card is moving through the pipeline. So no email sent. If they're still going to monitor any changes in the renewal, but they're not sending the renewal survey, they apply that label and then they know as it's going through the pipeline, they're not looking for a questionnaire to come back. If they've worked it, say it's going to be in that stage for, 2 more weeks and they've already looked at it and reviewed it, they can apply a worked label and they know, when it's just sitting there waiting for the automation to take it through. And then umbrella included in the package. So that's a big one because if you have a package policy and the umbrella is included, but you don't have a separate policy line in your account management system or in your agency management system. So you don't want to try to cross-sell an umbrella when you already have an umbrella that's included in the package. So we set that up just to, to be a trigger so that you're not trying to cross-sell a policy that you already have. So that's just some of it. And this has grown and we've changed some of the ways that we use labels. The premium decrease label, we are working on some automation to test that out, because if your rate went down, we certainly want to draw attention to it, right? We want to make sure that people know that their premium decreased, and congratulations. Okay, we can go ahead and change to the next screen. So this screen is checklists and tasks. So we want to make sure that before an account manager goes to remarket an account, we've got this remarket checklist. So have you rerun the insurance score? Have you offered cross-selling opportunities? Have you, talked about telematics? Any tickets, accidents, causing it to go up? Did they get a new roof? So those are some of the things that we want to make sure that every account manager is doing before they, automatically remarket. And then the 45-day checklist. So the difference between this checklist, this is standard. When it drops in 45 days, it lets them know these are the steps you're going to follow. They can check them off. It's a great training tool because you're working your pipeline, you go in. The goal is if you can spend an hour or two a day working your pipeline, working your renewals, that's going to free you up the rest of the day to do other activities. So it's really set up so that when you go into a specific deal card, your steps are there, they're lined out. I've got a screenshot here of the task list. So every account manager has, access to their own task list. So they see, it's kind of like suspense in your management system. They see that, what they have coming up, and, they can close a task, they can, plan their day around their task, just like they do their suspense. Okay, next screen. So the outcome has been, now we're still tracking our retention. We have very high retention in the agency as a whole. But what we found, we do have close to 60% response rate, which is huge when you think about, you can send emails out through marketing campaigns and sometimes you don't get a response or you don't know. We can see our open rate, we can see our response rate, and it's not only with returning a survey, but also scheduling a time to talk. And maybe they don't want to do the survey online, they want to talk to somebody and go over their renewal in person. So and this has resulted in less rewriting because we're proactively reviewing these accounts. We're not just picking up the phone and being caught off guard and offering to remarket. So it really is putting a process to saving the business within the carrier that they're in. And then it's increased our number of clients with the contact information in AMS. So that was a big thing that we are able to see on our dashboard how many clients don't have an email address. And we've made a little competition out of it with different account managers to say, hey, you've got 45% of your clients don't have an email address. Can you get that down? And they go to work and they can click on the link, see which ones are missing, and go to work to get that information in the system. And what's the next slide? I'm not sure if this is the last one. Yeah, that was the last slide. So I've seen some questions pop up.
All
Yeah,
right.
let's go ahead. Well, we've got questions for both you and for Mike. Let me start with a question for you since you're right in front of me. Thank you, Susan. I appreciate you sharing that information with us, and it was extremely valuable because it gave insight into some of the workflows that were valuable to you, but are also going to be valuable to possibly valuable to these other agents that may not have implemented some of those things that you have. What could be, when you look at some of the things you guys have put together, what would you say is the first step or the first automation that you put together that the other agents should start with, if you had to name one of them?
So I really think it's identifying your process, and the driver for us was the renewal survey and that initial contact to reach out to every client at renewal. And the great thing, that email goes out and it's an activity in AMS. It's automatically captured in AMS. So we have that documentation that we've made that attempt for a renewal review at renewal. And that was huge for us. But then we started adding in other layers, other things. And one thing the first thing I had to learn is you have to identify your process, and you have to build this out according to your process. And our process is going to be different from other offices. I mean, what I found, we had within Shepherd, we had different processes, right? Like everybody does things a little bit differently, or a lot differently in some cases. So, you have to identify the process that you want to follow and then build that. we've changed it, and we may change it again because we found that, you know, tweaking something here or there may work better for us, may make it easier. The more users we add, they're like, hey, why do we do it like this? And why can't we do it like that? And I'm like, hey, that's a great idea. And then we can change things around a little bit, and it's consistently growing and you know, evolving as we get deeper and deeper into it.
So thank you. That's extremely valuable. And the key takeaway is you have to define your processes. And I say no because a lot of folks don't even know what their processes are because they haven't written them down. They haven't, you know, given it a lot of thought. They just do it, you know. But it's really important that you know, take the time to write down workflows for specific, you know, actions that you guys take in the agency. You know, having that written and discussing it with your staff. I'm assuming you guys do that as well. Like you said, you know, you bring people on, they see, well, why are we doing it this way? Why can't we do it that way? That's really a point. Another question for you. How has having, you know, a centralized location or a centralized database helped you guys as far as on the sales and on the renewal side?
Well, definitely for tracking purposes. And, you know, we, like I said, we're pretty heavy with mergers and acquisitions. So being able to have a process that we can show people and, you know, centralizing everybody, you know, from not just E&O, but just from consistency and time management and, you know, just in branding, it makes all the difference.
Now, go ahead. I'm sorry, Roshan.
No, go ahead. I was just reacting to it.
Yeah, I was going to ask one more question, and this is really for you and for Mike. So if you want to go first, you can. When you look at those processes, and you spoke of, you know, M&A, you know, you bring on a new agency, there's difference in technology. They have to learn a new system. This obviously, InsuredMine makes it easier for them to, you know, get onboarded. How important is it to set up those triggers inside InsuredMine with checklists to make sure that folks know their processes?
Yeah, it makes training a lot easier, and the expectations are there. We've done video trainings. The staff with InsuredMine has been extremely helpful with, you know, whenever there's questions and you know, helping with some of the training. But certainly from onboarding and having those checklists in there. And if we change a process, it's as easy as going in and changing that checklist. And, you know, that's the checklist we use then going forward.
Mike, what would you say?
Mike has stepped out, so, but yeah, we'll
Mike
continue.
is not going to say. You know, that's one of the things I was going to bring up was just that point. You know, when you're working with, say, an agency that just focused on personal lines, but now they're wanting to expand in commercial lines, or you've got access to commercial lines now, having those checklists to make sure they're not missing any steps in their workflow when it comes to that new line of business, it makes it easier for them to, you know, get more comfortable and confident with working with that other line of business. Have you guys seen anything like experienced that?
Yes, for sure. And I know on the sales side, I work closely with our sales coach on the commercial side when we were developing this, and it was big for him for coaching and training, you know, to have those checklists, and it gives people a roadmap to follow. Someone asked a question about when we have mergers and acquisitions, like converting them onto the agency management system before InsuredMine. So yes, they have to be on the agency management system first, because that's where all the the information flows back and forth from InsuredMine into AMS.
Another question came in. What does your staff like using most about the automation or the process for the renewal pipeline?
I would say texting and the scheduler link. I would say that has improved the communication. Being able to, text to ask a quick question or to set up a call. Most people will respond to a text faster than they will an email. And sometimes they won't answer their phone anymore at all. So, it's a great way to be able to cut that out. And it's managed obviously through their desk phone, and it's not their personal cell. And all that information, all that communication automatically is captured in AMS 360. So there's no more screenshotting your text and downloading it and copying it and putting it in the management system. So it really is, that has been big. But also the scheduler link, their time is valuable. And they want to be prepared when they talk to clients. It's not just salespeople making sales appointments, but account managers that are handling renewals. Being able to be prepared and, have that conversation, they're finding it's just a much easier conversation to have proactively than to be reacting to their call about, hey, why did my rate go up?
That you made me think of something that was extremely valuable with what we're doing with InsuredMine. And it is having those processes in place and setting up those automations. We think about the technology and that engagement piece, but one of the things that we really haven't, keyed in on is the resources that are being allocated to doing those keystrokes that we're now being reallocated to finding where they can have more impactful. And the doctor said it, he was perfect when he said, use your time for the correct denomination. You don't want to spend use your time on $10 tasks when you should be focused on $100,000 tasks, And so
Right.
When they're having to do all those keystrokes and have to do the screenshots, it's really not the most efficient use of their time.
Right. And we're standardizing those emails and communications. So we know what's being said, and we know, the format that it's being delivered in. And so that's been huge as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was really insightful.
Thank you guys.
Any other questions? Let me make sure. All right. Yeah, as John said, thank you. That was a great job. We're going to play a quick video, and from one of our top users, Dealey Insurance. Rob, if you want to go ahead and get that started, and then what we're going to do, I hope everybody has gotten their Uber Eats or Uber Lunch code. If you have not received your code yet, please let us know. That way we can make sure that Roush buys you lunch.
Working?
Dealey Insurance Group is an independent agency. We are located right outside of Ocean City, Maryland. We've been in business since 1929. We are about 70% commercial lines, 30% personal lines. There's 60 people on our team of forward-thinking folks that are constantly looking to get better. We're about $55 million in premium, and we are amazing. So I have been on a search for the last 20 years to find a software system that really allows me to have a user experience that's consistent across our sales team, our leadership, and our service team in one place where we can all go.
So we like InsuredMine because what it is it's an attractive system that appeals to the users that we're all trying to hire right now. So it's also important for us to use this system to look at our carrier relationships and figure out how we maximize our revenue to add to the importance of our contingencies in those relationships.
The support team at InsuredMine has been incredibly receptive to any ideas that we give them. It's nice to know that your voice is heard and that they want their system to be the best it can be for not only Dealey, but other agencies as well.
Traditional agency management systems are very good at managing policies. What InsuredMine enables us to do is to layer on top of that something that allows us to manage the customer experience. And that's what we've been looking for. It's definitely worth the investment. Not only do you get a software partner that can help you get insights into what you're doing, but also someone that can help you keep running as fast as you want to run.
Initially, when InsuredMine was purchased, it was purchased as a sales CRM tool, and we quickly learned that we could manage our renewal process in the system as well. The checklist functionality gives us the ability to provide almost like a bumper when you're bowling. So for new employees, they have that step-by-step help within the deal card as they work through the process. Prior to InsuredMine, we lived in a world of Excel spreadsheets. We now have a system where we can go and get the data we need in a couple of clicks.
One of the things that's so spectacular about InsuredMine is it's actually a real-time product that you can communicate with your sales team and your service team through a deal card, and it's all contained in one space so that anyone at any point in time can go into that deal card and look and see what's happening, both on a lead that's progressing to an opportunity, as well as a renewal that's just starting out 120 days out, all the way until when you're delivering the proposal and binding the product.
One of the things that's most exciting about working with InsuredMine is how responsive they are, and almost any amazing idea that our operations team has to make the system better, they figure out a way to get it done.
All right, that was a quick program.
Industry by storm, and really being different and making it fun, adding energy. I just got done doing some dips and jumping jacks for real. So we do every hour.
What is that?
The jumping jack.
Very obvious and evident. The amount of energy that we're gonna see from Melissa is just off the roof.
That's the podcast, guys. That's the teaser for the podcast. If you have not listened to that, I will drop in that note right now. So I don't know how many of you had a chance to listen to that podcast. I did it with Stallings Insurance, and I will share that link. That's a fun one.
Yeah, I'm sure they're all fun now. There were quite a few folks who chimed in during the chat saying that they don't have their code. So if you want to put that back up for them so they can order some lunch, because the sooner they order their lunch, the sooner I can eat.
Yes. No, guys, Anjali is working behind the scene with all of you guys to get those email addresses all validated. So yeah, please feel free to drop in. Yep. As we wrap up here with, as you know, can't say enough about what Susan and her team has done, and Mike was again a spectacular presentation of how data comes together and speaks the story that the agency wants to know. So it's great that it reflects what an agency should be doing. So there is, I'm sure, a lot for each of you out here to be learning from this and getting to that energy of that group of hey, what do I need to do next to get to that point. All
right, thank you guys again for taking some time this morning, and we'll see you back here on 1:30 Central Time.